Hello, and welcome to the Here to Uplift Podcast, where we center the stories of impactful changemakers, entrepreneurs, and community leaders who have done the hard work of uplifting themselves through adversity to get where they are today, and now uplift others along the way in their journeys. I'm Lolo Fisher, your host, lover of all things wellness, healing, and empowerment, and I would greatly appreciate if you show us your support by liking, subscribing, and sharing this podcast with others. Let's get into it. Welcome, y'all, to the Here to Uplift Podcast. I am here with my good friend, Xenia Herrera, that is really one of the people who has inspired me most out here in the Bay Area, because I've noticed everywhere we go, somebody knows you. That's crazy. And not just knowing you, but somebody has something like great to say about you. And that's like a beautiful impact to be making, especially like what I would consider a young age, a young entrepreneur. You are lighting up people's life. So we met, was it at HBN first time?
Yeah,
at an HBN networking event, but obviously content and cocktails and so on, all the things that we've been able to connect with have been awesome. But I wanted to bring her on because not only is your entrepreneurial journey inspiring, but momhood, wifehood, all the things come into play.
Check.
That's my introduction of you, but tell the people who you are.
Thank you. So my name is Xenia, and I do want to introduce myself with career. So I help women get confident on camera and be financially independent. And let's get straight into it.
Yeah, cool. Okay, wait, you said confident on camera.
Yes.
In terms of like public speaking for business purposes, why?
So I think that a lot of women are very self-conscious when it comes to social media, and that is the biggest thing that holds them back from even showing up. So I just want to show women that you can just turn on your camera even if you don't have lashes, makeup, if your eyebrows are little caterpillars today, like it's okay. You can still turn on the camera, be confident, and bring some sort of value.
I actually struggle with that sometimes. I think lately I started doing these things for a while. It was like shower thoughts. So I'm like literally getting out of the shower. I look a hot mess, but I'm like, I had this thought and I need to say it. So like I'll say it.
Shower cap, like, hey guys.
Exactly. And that was me kind of breaking out of it, but it took me a while to get that comfortable. And now I almost see something in reverse. Like the more people I know, the more people I connect with, the more I'm worried about how I'm coming off on social media.
Right. Because you're like, oh my God,
comfortable side.
Right. Because you're like, oh my God, what if she sees me or he sees me? What if she doesn't like what I say? We start overthinking. Yeah.
How do you break that?
You just have to practice. I don't remember who I heard this from, but he was talking about how confidence is like a muscle. You just have to constantly continue to practice whatever it is that you're practicing. And if you stop, what happens to the muscle? If you stop working out, like
atrophies.
Right. Yeah. So you just have to continue going. And it's okay. Have like a best friend like me to continue pushing you. Exactly. Like you go, girl. Keep going. Heart emojis, whatever it is that you need.
That, oh my gosh, I'll just say like the female feminine community on Instagram, at least for me, is like where I find it. It's beautiful. Like when you have those people, I'm like, oh my God, thanks. I was like barely making that post out, but I appreciate it.
No, I was gonna tell you, we're gonna have a conversation about this because your bomb dances and your healing and ever since I went to that event with you, it was the vision board party, and I'm like, I didn't even know about you, and you were just so soothing and literally almost brought us all into tears. Like we need that. We need that as young women, and even in the Bay Area, like I feel like we lack that, and we literally need that from you.
Thank you.
So that's my
thank you.
That's
I almost forgot that was this year.
Right.
Like it feels like forever ago that we did that. So context-wise, we hosted a vision board party with our friend Steph, who was actually the first episode on this podcast. And it was in her home with like an intimate group of women, and Xenia led a whole like actual goal setting part of the workshop to actually cast your vision and stuff, which was awesome. And I got to lead a meditation, and it was for a different group that I normally would lead meditations with, so it was almost like peeling back layers.
It was amazing. It was really great.
I love that. Speaking of, because that kind of reminds me, I feel like when I'm asking you about confidence and building confidence on camera, you help other women do it. But I noticed in your posts recently, you've been talking a little bit more about your journey one, with how like affiliate marketing turned into you building your own brand separate and connected to, but then also the challenges of postpartum depression and like what that has looked like. I didn't even know that layer of you, that layer of your life. And I feel like for me, when you're saying it, I was like, oh, I got to show you all a layer of like what I like to do on the healing side.
Right.
But I want to know, like, how did you heal in order to be able to teach this confidence piece?
I think that I'm still healing till this day. I feel like, I'm sure that you know, it's just a journey. It's going to be a journey 100%. But when I got pregnant, I don't feel like I was mentally okay. I feel like I always tell my girls that I had postpartum even before I had my baby. And it was just one thing that I didn't even know was a thing. I felt like, I can't believe that I'm not happy that I'm pregnant. Like, why is it that I don't want to take photos? Like, all these moms take these beautiful, elaborate photos. Like, I don't want to go shopping. I don't want to talk about my pregnancy. And I don't think I told people I was pregnant until I was like 6.5 months of pregnancy. And we lived in San Jose. So everyone is in the East Bay. If you don't know where we're at, everyone was in like 40 minutes away from here. And I was in San Jose by myself with my husband. Nobody knew that I was pregnant.
When you say everyone, like your families
over
there? Okay.
Family, friends, or people that we knew.
Like your community.
Right. And nobody knew I was pregnant until I told people, because I'm like, oh, well, I'm 6 months pregnant. I guess I should start telling people. And it's because I wasn't happy about it. Not because I didn't want my child. It was just my internal, I wasn't mentally okay. And even after I had my child, it was one of those things like, okay, so now what? How do I have this child and like give them what I'm supposed to give them as a mom? And like, how am I supposed to do this by myself? That's what I thought anyway. And at the time, my husband was working so hard to build his real estate business. So he was like 16-hour unhealthy. That's like a whole nother episode. You probably need to, Anthony, you probably need to bring my husband on, okay? But I think that having those feelings, I never ever want to feel those again. And from there, I was able to find my network marketing company that I absolutely love. And I do believe that that was a huge part of me getting out of that depression, finding women that uplifted each other, finding a product that made me feel good, and finding out that, you know what, I can help other women even if in a state like this with depression. And I didn't even know I was depressed, to be honest. I didn't even know that was a thing.
Can we dive into this more? Like, I really want to know what that journey of realizing that, like, oh, what I'm feeling is depression, and like how you broke that down. Like, did you seek a therapist at that time, or was it a lot of self-healing? Like,
probably should have. But the reason why I did it is because I was in denial. Like, I'm not depressed. Depressed people are moping around all day. Those were my thoughts.
Active.
Right. I was trying to actively build my course because I really, really wanted to just be independent in the online space, and I wanted to build my brand. And I was like actively, I have cute little videos of me like trying so hard. I could tell my face was like struggling. I was trying so hard to build this brand, and I just couldn't get out of this mentality. And you know how it is when you have a negative belief about yourself, or like, I can't do this, but you still show up, you're not going to do it. You're not going to make it happen. So that's what I was going through. And I think that when I realized it, it was already like, all right, that happened like 5 months ago. Meaning, I didn't really realize it until I was like slowly getting out of it. And the way that I got out of it is like being around women that I love, and I fell in love with our relationship as far as friendship, and continuing to be active. But it wasn't something like I realized on the point. There wasn't like one moment.
Gotcha.
It was one of those things I just kind of accidentally, right.
Yeah. Okay. So the process of getting out of it, like, what was that like? You said meeting other women and stuff, hanging out.
Right.
And I know the business was part of it. Hair was part of it.
Right.
Like, all these little pieces that made the connections.
So the way that I found this company was I was excessively losing hair, and that's just part of your postpartum journey. Not every single person goes through it, but like 99% of women do go through postpartum hair loss. The reason why is because they're not really losing hair. Your body's like retaining all these nutrients and everything, and you don't shed any hair. That's normal. You always shed hair.
On to everything.
Right.
Okay.
So I was losing all this hair. I had no hairline. I saw this girl posting it on Instagram, and I'm like, okay, I need that. Let me buy that from you. And immediately I realized I just made commission. Like, she just made commission off me. Like, girl, tell me how you're making money. I need to do this. And that's how it kind of started. And I built a relationship with her. I'm like, you're in LA, I'm in the Bay. Like, let's do this together. And I think that distraction, because that's what it was.
Yeah.
It was a distraction of me building a business and seeing a vision, even though I wasn't even in the space to build a business. But I saw a vision, like, what if I could take over the Bay? And I could help other women do this that feel the same way as I do, that have the same hairline that I do. Like, I can do this. And that's really how everything started.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to ask, actually, I don't know if this is a tough question or
not,
but possibly a tough question. I feel like there's a lot of contradicting opinions on network marketing. I think I said affiliate earlier, but on network marketing, and if it's a pyramid scheme or if it's actually like a viable business for solopreneurs and what that looks like. So, like, what are your thoughts on that?
I love this question, okay? I understand why people have such a negative perception about network marketing, because the way that we have been taught in the past is super spammy. Like, how many people do you know that sell Tupperware or greens or health products or makeup that you're just like, oh, no, thank you. Like, I don't even want to go to your house because I know you're going to make me sign up. But the difference between that and what I wanted to build, I understood that network marketing is perfect for the normal woman that doesn't really have the capability to start and put a down payment on a whole business. How much is it to start a whole business? Brick and mortar.
Ooh, too much.
Or a YouTube channel.
10,000 plus, yeah.
Right. You know, a YouTube channel is going to be 100% like a few $100 to $1,000 just to start. Yeah. So this, I'm like, okay, this is simple. I 100% knew that I didn't want to be spammy. I didn't want to be a commercial for the company, but I knew that I had online space. What's the word I'm trying to say? I had online space. What's the word? I can't think about it in English.
What's an
experiencia? How do you say experiencia? Okay.
Experience?
I had online space experience, and I knew that I could build a personal brand around me and still promote a product. Yeah. So for me, I understand that network marketing is the perfect way for anyone to start if you don't have business experience, because you can learn the business model and still earn money. So I love it. I think it's the perfect way. You can use it as a vehicle to whatever it is that you want to build. And I know that there's a lot of people that are against it because they don't truly understand it, but this is how I see it. If I have to file taxes and I could freaking file under my LLC, that's a real business, okay?
True.
So that's how I see it. Like, for me, it's a real business. It completely took the pressure off during COVID with my husband. Like, my husband's
that extra source.
Right. His business completely shut down, and I was able to hold it down for a few years. So yes, to me, it is a real business.
That's huge.
Right.
That is huge. Okay, so I think that's funny too that you're like, what is it in English?
Oh my God.
I'm trying to like side, but I'm trying to learn Spanish right now. And
right.
Oh my gosh, it is so hard for me to learn languages. But that's a whole nother conversation.
That's a whole nother episode.
It is. Okay, cool. I love hearing about this though, and like that perspective, because I think there was like opportunities along the way in my life to like do different networking marketing things, and I've never caught on to any of them, mostly I would say because the products itself weren't speaking to me. And I think if you're going to be in the business, like you have to be with something that really like speaks to you.
Right.
But the other piece of it was I was self-conscious about, do I even have enough friends? Like, does anyone actually want to like connect with me, listen to me? But social media and the online approach expands your horizon so much that I'm sure you're getting people you don't even know, right? Like connecting with you, talking with you, using your products.
When I first started, I do understand that you have to have some sort of influence. Like you wouldn't completely, excuse me, Jesus, I'm fired. You wouldn't completely just go up to someone and be like, hey, do you want to like get engaged? Right. Like there's just absolutely no way. You do have to have some sort of relationship. But what I've found is that you never know who wants to do this business or who needs it. True. You literally don't know that people's circumstances. People that have completely successful photography business, like they have started this, and that's just their photography business became their side hustle. So it's one of those things, like, you literally never know who needs this. And I guess it's a blessing that I didn't really know about network marketing, because I just went into it blindly. But I'm like, hey, do you want to make money? Yes or no? Like, let's make money together.
Right.
And that's what really helped me just not be scared.
Right.
Not knowing helped me not be scared. Like you said earlier, I guess now I am a little bit more self-conscious, like, oh, what if she doesn't want it? Like, because we already know, like, I understand. But I think from now until, like, moving forward, I just have to realize that not everyone's going to understand this business model, and that's okay. I'm here to either educate you, I'm not here to convince you, and if you think that this is something that will help you and you don't have the experience and all, like, I will be able to guide you through it.
Yeah, definitely. I want to talk more about, like, what that was like with your husband at the time, but before we get to that, everything you're saying is so entrepreneurial minded, right? Like, there's some risk taking in there, there's connections. So have you always been entrepreneurial minded, or like, was that something that changed over time?
I think I have undiagnosed ADHD. I was Googling my symptoms and I'm like, you know what? I check every single box, because I remember I was never entrepreneurial, as in, like, I never at 6 years old sold my own pencils or anything like that. But I remember as soon as I got the opportunity to get a job, I could not keep a job to save my life. I would be in jobs like 3 months at a time. And my mom, I remember, I love my mom, okay, but I remember her telling me, like, you cannot keep a job, you're so lazy. And I'm like, I'm not lazy. I have like 4 part-time jobs. Like, I'm not lazy. I just can't do the same thing every day. I remember working like 2 days a week at Victoria's Secret, and then 2 days a week at the bar, and then 2 days a week as a personal trainer. I had all of these different things that fulfilled what I wanted to do, but it wasn't one job fulfilled my entire, like, purpose. You know what I mean? So I guess I knew that I wasn't normal, as in keeping 9 to normal 5 jobs. I knew that I couldn't keep a job. Like, I was a very good worker. I remember, if you don't know, I used to be a dental assistant. I remember, like, I would always get hired for every single job because I knew how to speak. I'm bilingual. I know how to speak to the doctor and all, but I just could not be there for more than like 5 hours. I'm like, this is just not okay with me. So I guess the answer is yes, somehow. I just didn't want to be at 9 to 5. Yeah,
like, you knew you weren't made for the typical Western system,
right.
like 9 to 5 businesses. But at the same time, I feel like, please disagree with me if you think otherwise, but I feel like capitalism is really based on entrepreneurship. But then, in order to protect the entrepreneurs who have made it, they create this system that we all subscribe to in society of, like, here's the 9 to 5, you get into the workforce, you do this, you go to college, blah, 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 blah. But really, like, if you want to be successful, you have to be willing to take those risks. In some sense. And maybe it's a timing thing, but at some point, the risk is what will make the difference.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
Okay. Before we move on to family stuff, what tips would you say for somebody who's watching this right now, who maybe just got into network marketing themselves and is trying to figure out, how do I build my own brand from this? Like, what would you tell them?
That you're talking about this. This is literally like what me and Steph have been talking about literally the whole entire ride here. But I think that you have to be open-minded in building your own brand first. Like, build your own brand before being your company's commercial, because you never know. And I love my company. I know that I'm going to be with them until I'm wrinkly and old and all of the things. But what if? You literally never know. What if it doesn't work out? What if something happens with you, and, like, you just have to build something around you. And I use my network marketing company as a vehicle to all the other things that I want to do, to my YouTube channel that I want to build, to my membership that I want to build. Like, that is my vehicle to everything else I want to build. And I'm going to take care of my customers, and I'm going to continue using my product. But at the end of the day, I am my own brand. And everything else is just a vehicle to that. So just build it around you. Like, people love you, they trust you, and they buy from you. Like, how many people do you not know that sell the same product? But they buy from you because they love you. So build your own brand. That's, like, the main thing that you should do.
Your story, your personality, that's what really sells more than the product. Okay. You were about to do another one. Give me another one.
Oh my God, what else?
I'm calling you out. I'm like, you got too much juice in there.
I know. I feel like doing push-ups right now. What's going on?
I mean, you did say you were a personal trainer. So
back in the day, girl. Don't look at me right now. Hold on. Let's take a chug. Cheers.
Cheers.
I think the next thing I would say is whether it's network marketing or any other business, or if you're selling, tortillas or whatever it is that you're selling, people are going to say no to you. Like, it's a business. You're going to have rejection, and you need to be okay with that. That's literally part of business. I'm reading a book by Lewis House right now. He talks about the reason why he's okay with failure is because of sports. He used to play sports, and in sports, don't look at me because I don't play sports, but in sports, he explains how that's part of your training. Like, you're not going to make every single shot. You're not going to make every single touchdown. Right. So you have to be okay with the failure. And I feel like we as business owners or aspiring entrepreneurs, we have to put that as part of our training.
That's so real.
Like, we're going to fail. That's literally that's an essential thing. Right. Yep. So just have that as part as your checklist. Like, you're going to have an LLC, you're going to have a bank account, all of that, and you're also going to fail. Like, that's just one of the things that you're going to do.
I actually really appreciate that piece of advice too. Both really, the building your brand and the knowing an expectation of failure. Because I came to learn that, I guess, the hard way in a sense. It was one of those things when I opened my studio, I was still doing both. Like, I still had my 9-to-5, which was way more than 9-to-5 because they were having me work way longer, right? I'm like, oh, and then like also opening my studio, and it was too much. Like, I was burning out. I already was having health issues that I kind of thought were associated with the stress of my 9-to-5 job. Right. But after quitting that, I realized that, I still had a lot of those same health issues that, like, maybe they stemmed from some of that, but I'm still dealing with them today. Like, now that I've been on my own, gosh, almost 2 years later, right? So it's things I'm figuring out. But point being that when I felt like I was failing in one place, I tried to start something new, but I would not let go of this other thing because I didn't feel like I had completed it. Like, I could not accept that I had to leave it either unfinished or like failing at some point. Like, there was no way for me to win in that situation. Now, in that one, at the full-time job working in higher ed student affairs, the role I was in specifically, there was no way for me to win. And I was doing everything on my part I could, but situationally, the system was not allowing me to. On the other end, with opening my business, it was one of those things where it's like, okay, I'm not married right now. I don't have any kids at this time. I am in a place, like when I was living in Merced, I had no family, no friends there. Like, I started building community, obviously. And that's part of why I wanted to open my studio in Merced was the community I was building. But I had nothing tying me down there. So I was like, if I'm going to go for it, now is the time. And I can't affect too many people. It's not going to hurt others if I fail. So I already had that in my mind of like, there's a possibility. But when it was imminent, and like, failure, it's a hard thing because even in every failure, there's still some layers of success and learning that's going to take you to that next level. I understand that now, but in the moment, I was trying so hard to figure out how to not fail that I couldn't figure out how to fail well. Like, how do I gracefully fail well? It's that moment of like, I twisted my ankle today for context. Yay. It's been a great day. But
you said you were happy to be here, so.
It was funny because Anthony did not know I twisted my ankle. Like, I said it, but he didn't know how bad I was in pain because I was in heels, right? Cute in heels, walking in gravel up a hill. Like, great. Twisted my ankle, and I was like, okay, it's fine. I'm like trying to walk it off, I was trying to fail well, but like 30 minutes later, I was like, I want to cry. I'm in so much pain.
You should just let it be.
And that's my point exactly. Like, the hard lesson I wasn't learning at the time that I now know is sometimes you just have to let things be because you are going to work yourself into stress, illness, like these painful places that's going to like fail you in other parts of life to where I could not give to my family. Like, I'm in pain physically, like my health is declining because I wouldn't just let things be right here when it was failing.
And let it go.
Yeah. Hard lesson, but I really appreciate that wisdom, especially for like new entrepreneurs that are getting into it, is like just have that expectation so that you're not holding on so tight it impacts the rest of your life negatively.
I agree. It's okay. I do like this other book. As you see, we love to read.
More.
And
this is our personal collection.
This is my room. But I have this other book that it was one of the first books that I read when I started network marketing, and it was Failing Forward by John Maxwell. And he always talks about it's either a lesson, aka failure, or you continue to grow. Like, it's okay to fail. It's not bad. We just put such a big, heavy weight on it.
Yeah, that's so true. Okay, so can you tell me about a time you failed?
Oh, recently. Well, recently. Let's talk about yesterday. No, I would say I think that my most recent failure was in my network marketing business, which was when I burnt out completely. And in 2022, which was literally like a year and a few months ago, I was just going and running on fumes. I never said no to anyone. Everybody had access to me. Everybody can just say whatever, do whatever with Xenia. Like, I was the number one people pleaser. And I think that for me, I would see that as a failure because my health also declined. I remember being sick for a whole month. Wow. Not only did I have COVID, and then I had a stomach thing, and then back things. Like, it was one after the other. And I understand now that it was stress.
Wow.
My immune system was so weak because of that stress.
It was like, I've already been fighting, girl. I can't fight this too.
Right. You're like, dude, one whole month. And I remember like fighting so hard. Like, can I just be not positive for COVID? Because I really want to go to Mexico. And that trip, I used it as a reset and reevaluating a lot of things. I didn't fully understand that. But now that I see my whole last year, I think that was the first step of healing, right? So that was number one. I made a few adjustments. I didn't fully make all the adjustments that I wanted because I was scared. Yeah. I didn't want to cut people off. I didn't want to do all of these things. But I started my YouTube channel. Yeah. And I think that was a very...
Was that at the same time?
Yeah.
I didn't realize that.
It was a year ago. Like, it was 2/22, I remember. Yeah. That I'm just like, I'm just going to do it, whatever. I really need this. I need something new, and I need something that's going to help me just be creative again and feel happy. I did put my network marketing business on a pause. And by pause, I mean I didn't feed into it. I didn't actively get customers. I didn't actively get business partners. And it still worked. You know, it still paid me and it you know, did what it did. But I just needed to step away because I was tired. I was so exhausted. And I would, like I said, I would see that as a failure, as in I failed the people that I recruited. I failed the people, my customers. Like, I didn't give them what they wanted. I failed my husband because I promised that I was going to make this income and I didn't, you know, fully fulfill that. But yeah, I would say last year was a failure year.
Interesting.
For sure. Character building.
Yeah. And you know, it's, to me, that's almost profound because I met you last year and I would never guess. Like, to me, meeting you and even seeing you online, you were just this ball of light. And I think that's so interesting because you never know what people are really going through. Like, you really don't. And that's like one of those tricks of social media is like you want to show up with confidence, but also like be real. And I think what you've been doing lately is like sharing those real moments that happened in the past and present. And that's been touching me for sure. Like, I am like looking at every post like, yes, I feel that way. Or, oh, that's something I should look out for. And there's so much we can gather from you telling that truth.
Well, I also fell into the habit of portraying, I would say that's another failure, portraying this lifestyle, like this FOMO fancy lifestyle, when that's not really who I am. I'm chill. Like, look, I'm wearing shorts and tennis shoes right now. Like, I'm so chill. You're not gonna find me like in super crazy name brand, because that's not who I am. I'm super down to earth. So is my husband. And I started falling into that pattern. And I think that's another reason why I burned out so hard, because I wanted to portray this persona 2021 or so that I wasn't. And I was like, it was exhausting because that's not who I am. Versus now I could just post whatever I want because I am whoever I want to be. I'm not trying to portray something that I'm not. So even last year I was trying to discover myself on social, and figuring that out, I had to make hard decisions and like, where do I want my business to go? Like, if it's not fun anymore, why? How can I make it fun again? How can I impact the people like I used to? And what people, I'm reading that in that book too, the Lewis Howes book, so many books. But he talks about how association is a huge thing. That's not new. Like, the people that you hang out with is literally who mold you. So what can you not do? Like, who can you not hang out with anymore?
Yeah. Do you feel like that shift in how you present yourself on social media has changed your audience?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes. I feel like people are more, I don't know, I would say before it was very, what is the word? Where is the dictionary? Surface. Okay. Everything was surface level. Like, oh, cute, and yeah, good for you.
Typical networking events, right? Like, hi, my name is.
Right. But I read all these books. I read another book recently, and he was talking about how relationships is everything to him. He talks about how relationships, he feeds into relationships because they're important to him, whether that is his wife's relationship or friendships or people that you're going to know. And that's really what I've been focusing on since last year. So we went to a lot of the same events because I was very intentional last year when I'm like, okay, I need to get together. I want to meet new people that matter to me, people that I matter to them, people that are going to influence me to be better. And, you know, I went through a little rabbit hole of shots and drinking and partying last year too. And that was part of my healing. Yeah. So yes, your circle is really important, and I understand that I will lose followers right now, and that's okay. Like, I want to find my tribe.
Yeah, like, who are my people?
Right.
I don't want just people. I want my people. Exactly. That I can connect with, that I can lift up, and that I know when I'm down, they'll lift me back up too.
Right.
You know, okay. Jumping a little bit, family.
Okay, let's do it.
Tell me about your family.
Well, my husband used to be my boss. What do you want to know?
I did not know that.
Yeah, I needed a raise, so I'm kidding. You're like, yeah.
Sure.
So yeah, he used to be my boss in the gym, actually.
Okay.
And it just wasn't the right time. I wasn't even looking at him because I'm like, okay, this man with his muscles, bye. You're so annoying with your muscular body. Like, that's not what I'm about. But there was something about his leadership that I'm like, how can he manage 30 people that are like all alphas, you know, like everyone
all
wants
the ego.
to be right. Like, how can you manage 30 trainers in one little San Leandro? What is San Leandro? It's like a little city in the middle of nowhere. How do you manage that? He was the #1 gym club in the entire nation. Like, how are you this amazing right now? And I think that once I started like figuring out how he led us, how he guided us, he would put business plans together. And I remember that he started making scripts, like how to rebuttal. And I'm like, dude, this is genius. Like, you are so amazing. And once I remember, this is the exact moment that I'm like, oh my God, this is dangerous. I absolutely love this man, is when he invited me to work out. He's like, hey, because I told him I'm going to quit. Like, I can't be a trainer anymore. I'm not making money. Like, there's just no way that I can do this. And he's like, let's work out today. And I'm like, okay, let's do it. What do you want to do, back or legs? Okay, let's do squats. And once that happened, I just completely changed my perspective, like respected him like 100 times more with the way that he was leading. He was never disrespectful. He was never gross and weird and gropey.
It was like that side-by-side leadership.
Right. It was amazing. And once that happened, I think he was also like, oh, this girl listens to me. All right, let's figure this out. So the time did pass. We ended up dating. I was a little bit hesitant because
while you were still working for him.
Yes. Okay. But I did end up moving. Like I moved. I'm like, okay, I don't want problems, issue, drama. Yeah. But I was actually talking to my friend about this earlier. He's like, I don't like the term girlfriend. That's not what I do. He said that to me. I'm like, okay, sure. We'll see about that.
Meaning
he just wanted us to get to know each other without any
commitment.
Commitment. I'm like, yeah, right. We'll see about that. And here we are, have a child, and we're married for 7 years.
You're like, so about that term, you just wanted wife. Right. Is that what you really wanted?
Right, exactly.
Okay, well, but there was a lot that happened in there. Like, how long before, or like when you started dating to now, you know, like married, kid, all these things?
So after all that, it was pretty fast because that interaction, that first workout that we had was in May, and we started dating in September, and the following September we got married. So I was like, I just want to make sure I'm going to lay out my cards. This is what I'm expecting, because I remember telling him the words, I'm not going to play house. And I think that me being upfront with him, and obviously every man is different, I understand that. And like, I just wanted to make sure that he knew what I was expecting. Maybe I'm lucky, who knows, but we got married. We were able to get married through the San Jose court. And then the following year, we got married, like white dress and all of that stuff, because we wanted it. We wanted to give that to our family too. And I just wanted that as our anniversary present to ourselves. But yeah, that's how we got married.
I love that. Are you a sapiosexual? Would you consider yourself? Like you are... I've had this conversation with my mom, which is really funny, but I was like, Mom, I'm a sapiosexual. She's like, huh? What is that?
Like, just tell me. Cut this off.
You're like attracted to like knowledge, wisdom, like
I guess
having those conversations like turns you on.
Yes, I guess so, but I didn't know this until right now. Because I did fall in love with his brain and his leadership and everything that was inside of, obviously his muscles did not disappoint, but I didn't know that. That wasn't my first thing that I was like, wow. I'm like, oh God.
That's my point. Like, so that's why for me, I'm like, sure, like physical attraction is it, but like you got to get me with your brain first. Like,
yeah. Okay. So yes.
Which he knows. Anthony's behind the camera, so he knows.
Like he's okay with
it. It took a long time from us to be friends to like actually dating. A long time.
Dang,
but it wasn't until we started having business conversations, seeing his leadership, watching him in the office. I'm like, okay.
You're like, okay, hold on, sir.
Okay. And then I saw a soft side for like half a second. I was like, opening. Like, now you're changing my mind.
Right. I love that. Yeah. That's so funny.
Okay. All that to say, now you said 7 years, right?
Right.
7 years. Oh, that's beautiful. So 7 years, 1 kid, 2 kids.
One
girl, right?
Yeah.
1 baby girl. So I'm curious, you know, when you were going through these different phases of your life, personally and professionally, like healing journey, COVID, and you said like he kind of like his business ran down, but you were able to hold it down. And then there's other points where you were like, I could hold it down, and then you couldn't. Like, what does it look like to manage your relationship amidst those highs and lows?
I think that from the beginning, him and I have always had a relationship to where we can talk about whatever we need to talk about. Now, have I always been a good communicator? Absolutely not. Like, I was hella toxic, okay? When I got married, I was just, you know, we're young. We think that being Latina, toxic is so cute. It's not. And it's just part of our culture that we think la tóxica, like, that's cool. P.S., it's absolutely not. Please don't do that. Anyways, so from the beginning of our relationship, I would say we were both pretty toxic and just not emotionally there. But what we did know is that we wanted to be better. I wanted a husband. I wanted to be a really good wife. You know, I grew up with Bible principles. Like, I grew up that the man is the head of the household and I'm going to be his wife and be his, you know, partner in crime and all of that. So I knew that I wanted that, and I understand that he wanted that too. So we did have conversations, but it was hard at first. I didn't know how to go up to my husband and be like, hey, so are we going to join our accounts? Like, what do we do with money? Like, all these not like taboo conversations that you just, well, I didn't really grow up with. Yeah. Right. So I think that business 100% helped me learn how to have conversations with him, because in business you have to say what you need to say. It's like for your freaking money. Like in clients, when people want their money back, like you have to have hard conversations. So I know that business really helped both of us learn how to communicate better. But I would say that the first 3 years, they just flew by because we were both hustling, and our date nights would be like big 18-ounce cans of Red Bulls, like figuring things out. I bought courses to figure things out for him and vice versa. So I think that those 3 years were just like, you know, our dating version of business. Yeah. But once we moved to downtown, I think that that's when we really started learning how to communicate better. And like, okay, we have to have conversations. You know, rent is too high here. We need to move back to the East Bay. I'm pregnant now. What do? We weren't quite ready at this exact moment. I don't feel good about my body. What do I do? So it's just been a journey. But I know that, well, for us, like, divorce isn't a conversation. Like, we just know we're together, ups and downs. So we just need to talk about it.
And I think, so how do we figure it out?
Right. Yeah. I would say the last 2 years have been the best communication we've had. And it's just been a learning thing, but we both have our own coaches that we, learn from, and that aligns because both of our coaches have pretty much the same values, and we can bring that into our own relationship. Like, hey, I don't like that. Like, that's not what I'm with. Or me pushing him, like, hey, don't quit your coach. Like, she got you. Like, you need to continue.
Right. I'm hearing so many good things in this because I'm hearing you started off with kind of like, regardless of how you're raised, there's going to be things that you want to keep and things that you don't. So like keeping what you learned spirituality, religion-wise, and saying like, this is something I want, but saying, I don't want the toxicness that like I've seen in like maybe my own family, friends, culture, and things like that. That is huge because I think a lot of folks just try to replicate, or vice versa, they try to stop everything. Like, I want to be completely different than my parents, or like, I want to just like do everything they did because I like loved how my childhood was, or whatever it is.
How we grew up.
So I like that you're already sharing like that there's a lot of choice that happens when you're moving forward in a relationship, and you have the ability to change even if you start one way and you want to fix it. I'm hearing the piece of that, not having divorce on the table, so that when you're having the conversations, it's always that goal of like, how do we get better? And that's like huge in relationships. Like, I know everybody has different opinions on that, but that's something I definitely agree with, is like, if we're committing to this, we're committing to this.
You're
so
staying,
like,
sir.
That's like not on the table. So if we're mad at each other, it's not like, oh my gosh, I'm so mad, are you gonna leave me? Like, no, how are we gonna fix this so that you're not like living with me while I'm mad at you? That's funny. I saw a joke, but I saw this little thing where it was like, oh, like my wife makes lunch for me every day, but she's mad at me today. So she had this little, like, she put in his like bento box, where like his lunch box or whatever, had a little note on it like, love you, babe. And then like you take the note off and it's like, but I'm still mad at you. Enjoy your fish tacos. And like he opens it and it's like tortillas with goldfish. And the goldfish crackers. Like, that's not even like, good idea though. Like,
right. This is good for the future.
Right. But then this other piece of y'all balancing each other out in the highs and lows. So like when you're in a low season, how he picks you up and vice versa.
Right.
I'm like pulling out all these things because I'm like almost making mental notes for myself of like what I can learn from this. And that last big piece that I really liked was having other people to talk to. Like you talked about having coaches, like having friends, all these things. And I've always been one of those people, just to share personally, of like anything happening in your home, happening in your family, you keep to yourself. Like you don't share, like it's private. What happens at home stays at home. And I think there's pros and cons to that. I still am not a person who wants to share my
your private
like
stuff.
My relationship, my business in that sense. But like for my own healing, my life, I'm like, I'm an open book. Ask me whatever.
Right.
But there's these layers that people don't get to like hear or see because I'm trying to figure it out on my own.
Right.
And what I've learned with that is like that's not healthy either. So for me, what changed was I still needed somebody to talk to, but I am not at a place where I trust putting my business out there.
Right.
So it's my therapist. Like she is like the only person, if it's not my partner that I'm talking to, like I talk to my therapist about it.
I'm
and like,
open to having a therapist in the future. Like I'm 100% open to that. I guess I haven't fully committed because not that I don't need it. I'm sure that I do need it, okay? But for now, like the people that I talk to or that I hire or whatever the case may be for my business, what I've learned is that if I implement this in my business, that automatically goes into my life. Because if you're teaching me how to communicate, how to be a better leader, like I have to implement that with my daughter. Like I have to implement that with my relationship and my friendship. So for now, that's working for me, but I'm not opposed to it.
Even if you don't, it sounds like you have a coach who you're able to talk things through with. So it's still that like balance of like support and partnership, so you're not feeling alone in the journey, which I think is huge.
And when I don't have one, I can tell.
Yeah.
Like when I'm like, oh, I can't afford you this month. Girl, yes, you can. You need to go back and figure it out. Because when I don't have him, like, it's just not the same.
Mm-hmm. What do you think are the top 3 things a husband needs to hear from a wife who's working?
I think that I have to just go up to him and be like, wow, like pump him up. Like whatever he's doing. If he tells me, oh my God, I got this new car or whatever, I'm like, dang, that's so cool. Like 100% pump him up. And not to like mock him or anything. Like I genuinely feel excited for him, but just pump him up because, you know, other people can pump him up, but it comes more from me. Like, good job. Another thing is thank you. Like, thank you for whatever he's doing. Thank you for picking up the laundry. Thank you for whatever. Just thank you, and really making sure that he understands that he's appreciated. And then just, I love you. Like, I know that's so corny, but it's not, because they just have to be reminded. Even if they're manly and they're masculine, like, they still love to be baby today. Like, they just want to make sure that they are heard. And I feel like, not everyone, but I feel like a lot of men, they need those words of affirmation.
Yeah. You can be hard for the world, but at home...
Here, come here.
Yeah, at home I got you.
Like, exactly. Exactly.
Okay. And what does that look like for your daughter? What do you think she is seeing when y'all are home? Like, the way you interact with each other? Like, what lessons are you hoping she's learning right now?
We're literally home all day, so I hope that she appreciates this later on in life, because we trade off. I don't know if you know.
You both work from home?
Yeah.
Okay.
We're literally both always at home, and if he's available to work, then I have to take her, or vice versa. So we do have shifts, literally like a whole job, okay? But I think that Malia, I hope that she can see that it's okay to have a healthy relationship. It doesn't matter your background or language or anything like that. You can just have, really high standards for a man, and you need to also be that really high standard woman to be able to, provide love and relationship and everything for your man. But I really do hope that she sees that, we're happy, healthy, playing around, joking, literally all day, cooking. And also, I am all about, roles, as in my husband's the head of the household and, I'm his wife. But I also want her to understand that you guys can be partners in a marriage. Like, you don't have to be the slave of the house, and neither does he. Like, you guys can do this together.
Right. I love that. Okay. We're starting to come towards the end of the podcast, so I just have a few more
tell
to
me
wrap it up.
You want.
Anything. Really, just kidding.
Hold on.
Oh, anything. Just kidding. I won't make you crazy. But I do want to know, because I've been thinking about this a lot, of what I've been seeing, the trend of a lot of entrepreneurs are coming from trauma or low places that they finally pulled themselves out of. And not everybody has that drive, because not everybody has that low at some point. So I'm curious if you're willing to share, was there one of those points in your life that was so low that you had to pull yourself out of? And if you didn't, you didn't have other options type thing.
Right. So I had a conversation with my friend about this. She was talking about the different books that we're reading, and she's like, I don't like that guy because he's boring and this. And the point of this is that I realized that I didn't really have a traumatic life. My parents are married. My husband's parents are married. Nothing happened to me that was super traumatic. Like, I didn't lose my house when I was 6. Nothing like that happened. And I understand that. I'm very fortunate. I get it. That doesn't take away from my story, though.
Yeah,
I had
absolutely.
to realize that, because I'm like, well, do I have to have a traumatic life to make it in the space? All these people with crazy divorce and all of that, they're making it in the space. So does that mean that I have to? And the answer is no. That doesn't mean that we don't go through things. We're still human. Right. We still feel things. So I think that you have to be okay with if you don't have a traumatic life, it's fine. You could still make it. Just like my husband too, he didn't have a crazy traumatic life either. His parents are married, he's very athletic. Growing up, he has it wasn't crazy traumatic. Yeah. And again, it doesn't take away from him building his business. Right. So I would say that I think I had dark times, but that was for me, right? It was traumatic for me.
Yeah, the internalization of it. Absolutely. And I think I was actually talking with Anthony about this too, oppression Olympics, right? There's a lot of oppression Olympics being played, and I had it worse, I had it this. Right. And I also come from a really strong family, now separated, but my parents were together for most of my life, you know, and even just thinking about how privileged I was growing up, and having this big home that I lived in and things, and it still didn't, even with that, I should say, there were traumatic moments in my life that were traumatic for me that somebody else may not define as traumatic. Right. But we grow from it so much, and it changes how we think of ourselves, how we think of our lives, what we want to do. Right. Actually, that makes total sense, because my family they're an immigrant family, so maybe to someone else, they can't even imagine living an immigrant lifestyle. But to me, I'm like, dude, I grew up amazing. I loved it. We all define it differently. Right. Exactly. And I'm like, we weren't wealthy. But we weren't. But you know, even how we create as a family. Like I hear what you're saying with your husband, how you model for your daughter. Like sure, there's wealthier people out there, but what are you modeling for your kid? And I think that's what I think about is like, when I was a kid, my parents modeled a lot of great things for me. And there were a lot of things that I wouldn't agree with too. Like I love y'all, but
Exactly.
there's some things I don't want to repeat. You know,
Sorry, Mom. I'm so sorry, Mom.
But it's the pick and choose that we talked
Right.
about earlier. There's a lot of great things that I'm like, ooh, I want that too for my family. And then there's a lot of things that I'm like, not repeating that. We're gonna shift that a little bit, and it's the partnership that comes in hand.
Right.
But what would you say? How do I describe it? Like, I'm thinking about your daughter in this case, but also your business. What do you want your legacy to be? Like, how would you want people to remember you?
I have been creating this recently. I was going back to cleaning my Instagram and all, and I'm like, okay, Instagram's cool, but like, what else do I want people to say about me in a room, right? What do I want? What have they been saying about me? Actually, I'm gonna ask you later. But like, what do I want people to say about me in a room? And I really want Malia to, yes, be proud of me, but also be able to model somewhat of what I was able to teach her. Not just myself, but like what my husband and I was able to teach her. And also, I would say for my business, something that impacts more women to be financially independent. We didn't even get to that section. Part 2 is coming soon.
I know.
But something to be able to empower women, and this is something that I'm never gonna forget. My mom told me, she loves my dad, they're still together, but she always told me, like, you need to be able to take care of yourself and don't rely on a man. Not because he's gonna leave you, but again, you never know. So I wanna be able to continue to empower women to be financially independent, and not just that, like financially educated, like them feeling good about themselves, because what man doesn't want a powerful woman? Like strong woman. Like I don't see why a man
with
wouldn't.
issues, but...
Oh yeah, that's another episode. But like I feel like every man does want some type of powerful woman contributing to the household and all. Even just being confident. If they don't want to work, fine.
Yeah.
But being confident, that goes back to that. So just being able to impact the women here in my space, in my area, and hopefully, you know, around the country, hopefully by social media.
Yeah, I love that. Okay, so for anybody watching, listening, what do you want to leave them with? Any like last things that you really wanted to share?
Yes, I have been talking a lot about just going for it and removing the fear of failure, the fear of success, because that is also a thing, and the fear of judgment of what other people are going to think, because who cares? I feel like if I really focused on that, I wouldn't be here, you know, with my network marketing company, marrying my husband, because that was a whole controversial thing. Like all the things that I've ever wanted is because I went against of what people would think.
Yeah.
So just do what you want, you know, do the impact that you want, create the impact that you want to create, and just keep going. But you have to start.
Yeah. I love that. Controversial thing because of race? Or because of what?
Part 2.
Part
no,
2?
Just kidding. It wasn't race. It was more the way that we grew up, and I was supposed to, you know, marry someone in my faith, and he was older than me, and he was my boss. So it was just my husband. My dad had like a whole plan for me and all, but I'm like, actually, I want this guy that is like muscular and amazing, and he's like, no, maybe not.
Okay, definitely part 2. Part 2 coming soon, y'all. We're gonna have to figure that out.
Right.
But Xenia, thank you for all
you.
this wisdom and information you're sharing, for sharing a lot of your truths and personal story that maybe we don't always get to see on social media.
I know, I never share this stuff.
I appreciate it. I really do. So let's go ahead and figure out how to connect. How can folks connect with you, find you on the interwebs?
Well, you can DM me, and I'm pretty much everywhere, Xenia MB Herrera. So I love Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. YouTube is definitely going to be more my business, but on Instagram, we can just talk about anything, you know, formal business. And TikTok, I talk about anything. So you choose.
I love it. Well, thank you all for watching, listening, wherever you're doing it at. Thank you, Xenia.
Thank you.
That's a wrap, y'all. Cheers,
Bye.
girl. To our caffeine. Thank you for tuning in to the Here to Uplift podcast. New episodes are airing every week with some bonus episodes in between too. So make sure you stay tuned by subscribing, following, liking, and engaging with us to let us know what topics you're most interested in and what might inspire you along this journey. We're going to keep working hard on our end because we are here to uplift not only ourselves, but our community too, and that includes you. So I can't wait for you to hear the next episode. But for now, do your thing, let's get it, and let's keep moving forward. Uplift yourself, friends. You got this.